Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm really excited for our deep dive today because we're tackling a question I know a lot of you have been thinking about.
Mm,
Does religion still matter in our increasingly secular world?
it's a big one.
It is. And you've sent in some really fascinating excerpts from the Baha'i faith on this very topic.
Oh, interesting.
And I have to say, their perspective is pretty unique.
Yeah.
So get ready for some surprising insights into how religion might actually be a force for good in the 21st century.
Okay.
Even if you're like me and consider yourself a bit of a skeptic.
Well, what's fascinating to me is that even as societies become more secular, that fundamental human need for meaning and belonging,
Right.
it doesn't just disappear.
It doesn't go away.
No, not at all. And from a sociological standpoint, that's where I think religion can still play a really important role.
So even if we're not filling up churches or temples every week, those underlying reasons why people have always sought out religion community, sense of purpose, something bigger than themselves that's all still relevant.
Absolutely. I think that's a key insight.
Yeah.
And the Baha'i faith actually reflects this understanding in their writings.
Okay.
They emphasize that religion's true purpose is to unify people, promote justice, and cultivate virtues that benefit everyone. It's about building a better world, not just focusing on personal piety.
Okay, so that's a pretty different focus than what we usually hear about religion, right?
I think so.
It's not just about individual salvation or following strict rules.
Right. It's about taking action, making a difference.
Interesting.
And there's actually research that shows that even in very secular societies, spirituality and religious practices,
Okay.
they can have positive effects on things like mental well-being, resilience, even empathy.
Wait, hold on. Are you telling me that being spiritual can actually make you a nicer person?
It can. It can. And that's really at the core of this idea of religion as a moral compass, a source of ethical guidance.
Okay, I need to hear more about this.
Yeah, well, think about it. In a world where ethical frameworks can feel pretty shaky at times, religion can provide a stable foundation
Yeah,
for those universal values that I think we all long for: love, compassion, justice,
Yeah.
The good stuff.
Right, so it's kind of like religion is a moral compass in a world that's spinning way too fast.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
What I find really compelling about the Baha'i faith, though, is their emphasis on questioning and investigating truth for yourself.
Yeah.
It's not about blind faith. It's about actively searching for understanding.
You've hit on a really important point there.
Yeah.
The Baha'i faith encourages individuals to independently investigate the truth of religion. It's not about accepting dogma. It's about personal exploration and verification.
So you're not just supposed to take someone's word for it. You have to go out and kind of figure it out on your own terms.
Exactly.
That's the beauty of it.
Now, this next part is where things get really interesting for me.
And I bet a lot of you listening are feeling the same way. We live in a time of pretty intense division, politically, socially, just everywhere you look.
That's true.
Everyone seems to have these really strong opinions, and it feels like we're constantly clashing.
We are.
So how does religion even fit into that?
Well, this is where that Baha'i principle of the oneness of humanity comes in.
The oneness of humanity.
Yeah. It's kind of a radical idea, actually.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, it's this idea that we are all connected regardless of our differences. The Baha'i teachings propose that religion should be this force that brings us together, not tears us apart.
It's funny because I was just thinking before we started recording how relevant that message is.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in our globalized world where we're constantly interacting with people from all walks of life.
Of course.
So that idea of unity,
It's crucial.
it's more important now than ever.
I think so.
But let's be real for a second. There's often this big elephant in the room when we talk about religion,
Oh, what's that?
and that's science.
Ah, yes, the classic faith versus reason debate.
Exactly.
But the Baha'i faith actually takes a really refreshing stance on this whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
They don't see science and religion as rivals.
Oh, wow.
They see them as two wings that help humanity soar.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break that down for me because I'm one of those people who needs a little more explanation here.
Okay, sure. So think of it this way. Science is about exploring the material world, how things work, the laws of nature, right?
Right.
But religion provides the ethical framework,
Okay.
the values, the sense of purpose that guides our actions within that world.
Okay, so it's not about picking sides. It's about recognizing that both science and religion play a crucial role in helping us understand ourselves
Absolutely.
and the universe.
Exactly. And this really resonates with people who value both rationality and spirituality.
Yeah.
It's about finding that sweet spot, that harmony between the tangible and the intangible.
I like that, yeah. One thing I think throws people off about religion is this assumption that it's rigid and unchanging.
Oh, yeah, I see that.
But the Baha'i faith, they embrace this idea of progressive revelation.
Right.
Which means religion actually evolves over time.
It does. It does.
And that's pretty mind-blowing when you really think about it.
It is.
So did you tell us a little bit more about what progressive revelation actually means?
Sure. So progressive revelation is this concept that God reveals truth to humanity progressively throughout history. So it challenges that idea that religions are stuck in the past,
right,
clinging to these outdated beliefs.
Right, yeah.
Instead, it suggests that these spiritual teachings unfold over time to meet the evolving needs of each era.
It's like religion is getting a software update to keep up with the changing times.
I love that analogy. That's perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that one.
And speaking of updates, the Baha'i faith actually sees Baha'u'llah's teachings as tailor-made for our modern age.
Oh.
They emphasize things like world peace, gender equality, and economic justice.
Interesting.
These are all front and center issues in the 21st century.
They are, yeah.
And they're deeply woven into the fabric of the Baha'i faith.
Wow, that's fascinating. All of this is incredibly thought-provoking. Yeah. But how does it actually play out in real life?
Well, that's a great question.
How do these lofty principles actually translate into the lives of individuals and communities?
Well, one of the key tenets of the Baha'i faith is that personal growth and social transformation go hand in hand.
So it's not just about cultivating your own spirituality in isolation.
No, it's about using that growth to make a positive impact on the world around you.
Okay, so it's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
You got it.
Right.
And this actually aligns with what we're learning in psychology these days.
Oh.
About pro-social actions. These are actions that benefit society. And they not only improve the lives of others, but they actually boost our own happiness and well-being.
Oh, wow. It's a win-win situation.
That's really cool.
Yeah, you become a better person, and the world benefits from your actions.
I like that. Can you give us some concrete examples of how the Baha'i faith actually puts these principles into practice?
Sure. So they have a variety of community-building initiatives. For example, they have these things called study circles.
Study circles?
Yeah, where people from all walks of life, diverse backgrounds, they all come together to explore spiritual teachings and discuss how they can apply them to their own lives.
Oh, wow.
And then they also have children's classes and youth programs that really focus on character development and fostering a sense of service.
Okay, so it's not just about abstract ideas.
No, not at all.
It's about actively creating spaces where people can connect, learn, and contribute to their communities.
Absolutely, that's the whole idea.
That's really neat. This has been an amazing deep dive so far.
It has.
We've covered so much, from the social purpose of religion to this idea of progressive revelation.
To the Baha'i focus on unity and taking action.
It's a lot.
There's a lot to think about, but where do we go from here?
Well, that's a great question. Let's explore that further in our next segment.
Okay, great.
We'll delve deeper into how these Baha'i principles actually manifest in the real world and the impact they're having on individuals and communities.
Sounds good.
So stay tuned.
We'll be right back after a short break.
It's really interesting to think about how the Baha'i faith reframes this whole concept of religion's purpose in the 21st century.
Yeah.
It's not about, retreating from the complexities of modern life or clinging to these outdated beliefs.
Right.
It's about engaging with the world, embracing progress, and actively working towards a more just and unified society.
That really resonates with me, and it kind of speaks to that Baha'i emphasis on both personal and societal change.
Yeah.
Like they're saying, we can't just focus on our own spiritual growth in isolation. We have to use that growth to make a difference in the world around us.
Absolutely. You got it. It's this beautiful synergy where individual spiritual growth fuels this collective action and vice versa.
Right.
And it's fascinating how much this aligns with modern psychological research, too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, there's a lot of research coming out now that emphasizes this link between personal well-being and contributing to something larger than ourselves.
It's like that saying, be the change you want to see in the world. but with a spiritual twist.
I like that. Yeah.
It's not just about personal transformation.
Yeah.
It's about using that transformation to make a real impact.
Exactly. And the Baha'i faith actually provides a framework for that change.
Okay.
Almost like a roadmap for both inner transformation and outward action.
Cool.
And their teachings offer guidance on things like navigating ethical dilemmas,
Okay.
building strong communities, and promoting peace and understanding across cultures.
It's like a toolkit for living a more meaningful and impactful life,
Yeah.
both for ourselves and for the world around us.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, how does the Baha'i faith handle the fact that the world is constantly changing? Do they expect their followers to just stick to a rigid set of rules?
Okay.
Or is there room for adaptation?
That's where that concept of progressive revelation comes in,
Okay, right?
the one we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So the Baha'i teachings are seen as constantly evolving and adapting to the needs of each era.
Okay. So they're not afraid to kind of embrace new insights and interpretations as the world changes?
Not at all. They're committed to searching for truth together, recognizing that we don't have all the answers.
Right.
And they believe that religion plays a vital role in that search.
That's refreshing to hear, especially in a world where religion is often seen as inflexible.
Yeah, I agree.
It sounds like the Baha'i faith emphasizes a really collaborative approach to finding truth.
Absolutely. They believe that, consultation and collaboration are key.
Okay.
They recognize that we need diverse perspectives to really solve the complex problems that humanity is facing. It's not about one person dictating the truth.
Right.
It's about a community of seekers working together to build a better future.
That's a really powerful message in a world that often feels so polarized and divided.
It is.
Like they're encouraging us to bridge the divides and find common ground, even when we disagree.
Exactly. And that spirit of unity and diversity.
Right.
That's one of the hallmarks of the Baha'i faith. They believe our differences are not a source of division, but a source of strength and richness.
It's like this beautiful mosaic where each piece is unique.
Yeah.
And it contributes to the overall beauty of the whole.
I love that. Yeah.
What I'm gathering here is that this whole idea of unity goes beyond just, personal relationships.
You're right. Their vision of unity extends to all aspects of human endeavor. Things like science, art, religion, economics, politics. The Baha'i faith sees all these fields as interconnected and essential for the progress of civilization.
So it's not about compartmentalizing our lives, but seeing the interconnectedness of everything, recognizing that we're all part of this larger web of existence.
You got it.
This is starting to sound a bit utopian, but in a good way.
I get what you mean.
Yeah.
It's a bold vision, but it's grounded in practical action.
Okay.
The Baha'i faith isn't just about lofty ideals. It's about translating those ideals into concrete steps towards a more just peaceful and sustainable world.
And those steps often start at the grassroots level.
They do, yeah.
We talked about those community building initiatives like the study circles and youth programs.
Right.
Those are tangible examples of how the Baha'i faith is actually putting these principles into action.
Exactly. They believe that change starts locally, with individuals and communities working together.
Yeah.
And these efforts are happening all over the world.
Wow.
From small villages to big cities, with people from all walks of life coming together to build a brighter future.
It's really inspiring to see how these teachings are being put into practice in such diverse contexts.
It is.
And it really speaks volumes about that Baha'i commitment to social transformation.
Yeah.
Not just as a theory, but as a lived reality.
Absolutely.
But how do individuals reconcile their own personal growth with these large-scale efforts for social change?
That's a great question. For the Baha'i faith, it's about recognizing our shared humanity and working together to create a world that reflects that unity.
Yeah.
It's about channeling our personal growth into actions that benefit the greater good.
This has been an incredibly eye-opening conversation.
It has.
I have to admit, I'm walking away feeling a sense of hope and inspiration that I really wasn't expecting.
I'm so glad to hear that. It's always rewarding to explore these deep questions.
Yeah.
And to see how different perspectives can enrich our understanding of the world.
Definitely.
It's been a joy to delve into these concepts with you today.
Absolutely. And for those of you listening, I hope you're feeling just as inspired as I am.
I hope so.
The Baha'i faith offers a really unique and compelling perspective on religion's role in our modern world. And it's a perspective that I think is really worth exploring further. As we've been exploring this idea of religion's relevance, in a secular world, one thing that's really struck me is how the Baha'i faith seems to bridge this gap between ancient wisdom
Right.
and modern thought.
Yeah.
It's like they found a way to make these timeless spiritual principles speak directly to people in the 21st century.
It's true. They really address those big questions that I think we all wrestle with.
Yeah.
The search for meaning, the desire for connection,
Right.
the longing to make a positive difference in the world.
And they do it in a way that feels grounded and inspiring.
I think so too.
For me, one of the biggest takeaways from all of this has been this emphasis on unity.
Yeah.
It's not just some lofty ideal for them.
Right.
It's presented as a practical necessity for navigating our world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially in a world that feels increasingly polarized and divided. Yeah.
The Baha'i teachings really offer a powerful antidote to that. They remind us that with all our differences, our backgrounds, our beliefs,
Our cultures.
our cultures, exactly. We are all part of this one human family.
Yeah.
And we share this planet. And we're all responsible for its well-being.
It's like they're saying we have a choice, right?
We do.
We can either focus on what divides us,
Right.
or we can focus on what unites us.
And ultimately, our survival really depends on making that choice to come together.
Exactly. And that choice isn't just political or social, it's spiritual too.
It is. The Baha'i faith views unity as this fundamental principle of existence itself,
Wow.
a reflection of the oneness of God, and a pathway to peace and progress.
So it's not just some feel-good idea.
No, not at all.
It's about recognizing that our interconnectedness is a fundamental truth,
It is.
something that underpins all of reality.
Exactly. And I think recognizing that has huge implications.
For how we live our lives, how we relate to one another, how we shape the world around us, calls for a real shift in consciousness.
Right.
Moving away from this egocentrism towards a more altruistic, more compassionate way of being.
And that shift in consciousness seems to be at the heart of that Baha'i approach to both personal and social transformation. Right?
It is. It's about understanding our interconnectedness and then using that understanding to fuel our actions in the world.
So it's not about just adhering to a strict set of rules, but about living a life that reflects those core principles of unity and love and justice in action.
That's the heart of it, yeah.
This has been an incredible journey.
It has.
And I have to say, I'm walking away with a renewed sense of hope and inspiration.
I'm so happy to hear that. It's always a joy to explore these profound questions.
Yeah.
And to see how different perspectives can enrich our understanding of the world.
Absolutely. And to everyone listening, if this conversation has sparked your curiosity, I encourage you to keep exploring.
I agree.
Dive into the Baha'i teachings.
Yeah.
Maybe connect with a local Baha'i community.
That's a great idea.
Most importantly, take some time to reflect on what resonated with you and how you can integrate these principles into your own life.
Because ultimately, the journey of faith is a personal one.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing process of discovery and growth and transformation. And I think the Baha'i faith offers a really rich and inspiring framework for that journey.
It does. It invites us to embrace both our individuality and our interconnectedness.
Yes.
To nurture our inner lives while working towards a better world for everyone.
Beautifully said.
And with that, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the Baha'i faith and the relevance of religion in a secular world.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the things that matter.